gospel of Jesus Christ, transforming lives, renewing hearts, 24/7, 7 days a week. Internet radio in a class by itself. We're flashing the gospel around the world as a witness. And someone will say, you know what? I heard it on Flashpoint Radio, and my life has been changed. Flashpoint in a class by itself.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries. We'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all sing better outside. Just us in the sky. Part of this circus, is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter, or is this a fate? At least now I'm feeling better. I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air.
Good morning, viewers and friends. It's a bright and marvelous Monday morning. Good morning, Lady Elise. Good morning, Mikey G.
I always knew that you had singing skills.
I heard it this morning. It was ringing out. I heard, good morning. Did I not hear that, Mikey G?
I heard it. I definitely heard the singing skills coming out. And we didn't get out to sing on the weekend. That's a thing.
Well, here's this. It's a work in progress. After being around for so many years, if I can get the good morning, it means that maybe the next quarter century, if I continue to practice, then maybe I'll get to the standard of Elise and Mikey G.
Right. Well, okay. Okay.
But for now, I will stop at the good morning.
I see where that is going already. So, I'm not even going to be trying to fix that. I'm not even going to be trying with that one.
Oh, well, no worries. I am convicted of my abilities or inabilities at this moment. How was your weekend, guys?
Well, for me, I'm gonna start with myself. Great weekend, great celebration, beautiful. Just everything was just awesome, and I say, God, thank you for so much, right? We had so many things going on, but yet still it went through as it would be intended to. And so yes, I'm happy for it. So yeah, it was at the time when I get a chance to relax too, let down my hair.
Was it the beach, Mikey G?
No beach time, no beach time. Actually, unfortunately, let me just go, unfortunately, no beach time.
Not this weekend, alright. Well,
not this weekend.
Because we know how much you enjoy it.
I do enjoy getting some water in, some swim time in and all that. But it's just not just because you like the recreational alone about it, but also has its health benefits of swimming. So we'll talk one day about the health benefits of swimming and what it actually does for the human body.
Thank you. What about you, Lady Elise? What have you been up to? What were you up to?
Well, it has been, I found myself yesterday. Can I confess publicly, CoraleeKaren?
What is it about confession?
I know, but, I found myself and I had to verbalize it. I had to say, why does it feel like I'm always rushing to go somewhere or trying to do so many things? It was one of those weekends where it was packed. But I certainly enjoyed every moment of it. I had the opportunity to, of course, be in attendance for the Crisis Gospel Evangelistic Series being held at the King Seventh-day Adventist Church, and of course all the Seventh-day Adventist Church members trying to pack themselves inside the King's Church. I found that quite interesting. At one point I saw persons going to the choir loft to remove the chairs to accommodate persons who were coming in. So it was a wonderful experience to see persons coming into church and waiting in anticipation for a powerful message from the man of God, Pastor Everett Brown. So a lot happening on the weekend, and I certainly enjoyed every moment of the weekend.
Awesome. And so we're here this morning, having been refreshed. We went to the sanctuary on Sabbath. We were spiritually revived and inspired, certainly. And that's what it's all about, right? The Sabbath is intended to give us that lull, that exclusive time with God, where our focus is totally about drinking from the spiritual water. And so this week, we're now boosted up, we're now motivated to take on the challenges. But of course, my encouragement is always to have a little Sabbath every morning, every afternoon, where we find peace with God. So he prepares us for the day. And at the end of it, well, we would have had another conversation with him about what happened throughout the day and how can we make the next day better. So for me, it is Marvelous Monday. Did I say? Is it Marvelous Monday?
You have repeated
What
it.
you said.
You have repeated it, and I'm saying I'm going to agree with you on the Marvelous Monday. Of course, we had our celebration on the weekend, and I'm still basking in that. So for me, you know, I'm definitely having that peace for me. Going through this week, you know, or sometimes you may start a week with such good energy and good vibe, or a day, and then by the middle of it, or in a few minutes from now, somebody make a phone call or something, and just mess up your time. And you know, life is a strange thing. I was able to look at a cartoon, and I was just staring at the thing. It was on a wall, pasted on a wall. You know, was not supposed to be pasted on the wall, but somebody decided to do that. But for some reason, I was reading the thing, and they pasted there for persons to see the what you call the logic behind the whole thing. And there's a crab. There's a man swimming in the ocean, and there's two crabs in the bottom of the ocean, like, you know, like lobsters in the bottom of the ocean, with big claws and everything. And the man is happy. So in the one side, the people are happy, jumping around, children, wife, everybody there, and the friends, and they are jumping around. And in the bottom of the ocean, it says people seem to be very happy. Well, life is such like a nice thing. And the next one says, well, that's why we are here. In the next slide, the lobster is on the man's toe, clamping on the man's toe, and he's now, wow, he's screaming. And now he makes life what life really is, because life is not all about happiness. The next slide, it also have some pain in there as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for that very dramatic reminder of our circumstance, Mikey G. You never fail to provide us with perspective and how coloring the perspectives are. So we look forward to the stories again. But as we go through today is always, it's first day of the week, and a lot of times we are not so enthused to welcome Monday. But it's another day that the Lord would have blessed us with. It's another opportunity for us to, even in those circumstances where we're in pain, is to remind ourselves that of the 10 toes, the pain may have been manifested on one, but we have the 9. So it's 90% still good.
No worries. Life is good. Because we want to, we want to. Yes,
so the point is,
yes.
The point I am making is,
yes,
as much as 110 is giving us a little bit of discomfort, don't let it distract you from the 90% that is not so inclined.
All right, and there you have it. I will keep a positive on this one this morning. And when we come back.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509. 7509.
Good morning. This is day 17. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Psalm 32 verse 1. God Help, written by David McCasland. Several years ago, a man arrested for the murder of a 12-year-old girl was also suspected of other killings. When police searched his computer, they found a file labeled "My Sins," but it couldn't be opened because it was protected with a password. A computer expert went to work using software to break the code. After 16 hours and billions of combinations, he found this password: God Help. The file detailed 6 brutal crimes, including rape and murder. I wonder if that man had created the file and its unique password because of the overwhelming burden of guilt for what he had done. Perhaps he knew that only God could help him deal with the enormity of his crimes. We all have past sins that weigh us down. We may feel as David did when he wrote that God's hand was heavy upon him day and night, and that his vitality was turned into the drought of summer. Yet relief can come. David said, I acknowledged my sin to you. I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgive the iniquity of my sin. The miracle of God's forgiveness does not remove the consequence of our sins, but when we confess our sins to Him, He will forgive us and cleanse us. His mercy and help are sure. We should ask God to give us courage to confess, to bear our sinful heart to Him, so that we might get full forgiveness and from this weight of guilt be free. A quote this morning reads, when God forgives, He removes the sin and restores the sinner. End quote.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
Certainly awesome morning this morning, giving God thanks for today. Lady CoraleeKaren, I'm not sure.
You're not sure of what exactly?
If we're all on the same page, giving God thanks.
Well, I will join you on that page because I have a lot of reasons to give God thanks. You know, there's a recording that you sometimes play in the mornings reminding us of how many persons are either deceased based on the statistics. So in a year, how many people have died? In a day, how many people, thousands, would have died? And so it reminds me that I'm up and about, I am not beneath my or in my grave. And so when you look around, the sun is up. There are many persons, and Edmonton comes to my mind when we spoke to Marie on Friday. She shared it was -19 in her neck of the woods. And the fact that we're, I believe, 83 degrees Fahrenheit here, I believe I have quite a number of reasons to celebrate, to give God thanks. So I'm focusing on the 90%, Mikey G.
You're focusing on the 90% of why you should give God thanks this morning.
Yeah.
I don't think you're at a bad place to saying that or doing that. That's precisely an ideal position to have this morning, to be able to do that.
But as we contemplate that, though, this month is Black History Month, and I know that we touched on it a bit during the celebration on Friday.
Right.
When Dr. Sam shared with us, and it was certainly a very compact presentation, taking us through an appreciation of what it means. And I know that it's something that we still face or grapple with in the 21st century. So whereas it took 400 years of going through persecution and it would have been abolished, the truth is that even today we still have remnants of it. We still have to grapple with a lot of the positions of authority that will be colored, pun intended, by the color of one's skin. In recent times, we've had so many reports of persons who are just going about their regular business, being profiled, being attacked, being killed.
Right.
Just because they're Black. And it begs a question, Mikey G, is it relevant to still recognize the pause in a month to see where we are, what progress have we made regarding ensuring that we're equal?
The worst part about that, the CoraleeKaren, is not so much the frustration of that is not so much the equality, but where it has to be qualified.
Okay.
Yeah, where? Because here we are trying to qualify something that needs qualification. But this is something that you're going to have to do in the church, in the temple of God. It's a very interesting thing to see. Trying to qualify that in God's house, where you find the color of your skin as Christians don't match other Christians' color of their skin, and is a problem in God's church. It's not a hidden problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of times, and what came to my mind is that judgment begins in the house of God. Sometimes what that really means is we need to get it right, and oftentimes we don't. And if we are guided by the word, and the word is grounded in love, how then can we be segregated? The question.
That's it. You beg the question. I throw that to Lady Elise. I don't think I'm qualified to answer some of these questions. I'm definitely telling you the truth. They're baffling questions. They're questions that sometimes when you think about it hard enough, long enough, you are certain that you're very sure that you are
is a struggle of
it is the weight on me to think about it alone troubles me.
yeah.
You know, and there's a feature that I wanted to present, but I don't know. Just to bring to some focal points some of the things that really do happen around, or what we have to contend with as persons of color, in terms of your color of your skin. And we are actually doing Black History Month, and indeed it is something that we are mindful of.
One of the things that Dr. Sam said in his presentation Friday evening that I found rather interesting was that if we look at it from the perspective that a slave, once he's free, can align it to sin and the redemption that comes with it. So, because of sin, irrespective of the color of your skin, you are enslaved. And through Christ, through the cross, we are restored. So for me, what I took away from that point of his presentation is sin, slavery are akin. And it gives us, once that freedom that we get or we received from slavery, the physical, is likened to being free when we have come to Jesus, our saving knowledge of Jesus. And I thought it was I stopped and pondered the way how he framed it. And I was saying, it's interesting. It was very interesting, the way how he placed the two together and was able to come away with the saving grace of Christ once it is explained in that light.
I came across this feature on the weekend, CoraleeKaren, and I want to just present a little bit of it to our listeners and our audience this morning. And we're talking a little bit not about the worldly view, the worldly operations. We're talking about the Church of God, Christianity, people of God's church, how we deal with each other. And so I want to place this one on the table, and let's see where it takes us.
Welcome back home, Pastor Ryan. It's good to be. It's such an honor to have you here today. We are delighted just to have you share with us your unique involvement during the segregation era. So, Pastor, tell us the story. Tell us about segregation. Tell us about the Black History Movement.
I'm going to begin, Donna, by giving a little bit of my background. I grew up in kind of a Mayberry situation, a little small town in southwestern Ohio. My neighbors were my family. It was an all-white community, and my family were the only people of color in the community. Because of the way they accepted us and we blended with them, then basically I grew up with an unreal view of the racial situation. At the school I went to, I was one of the best students. I was the fastest runner in track. There was nothing that made me feel inferior to anyone. So I wasn't exposed to the Southern situation until my summer after I graduated from high school. And I went to North Carolina, Winston-Salem, and worked in a tent meeting with Elder Malcolm Phipps. When the plane landed, Piedmont plane, flew out of Cincinnati, Ohio, was my first exposure to being really black in a white world. The way people looked at me, signs that said white and colored, and the way I was glared at when I went on and drank at the white fountain.
Goodness.
Elder Phipps picked me up, took me to where I was going to be staying, and began to share with me, giving me warnings of how I should act. That was my first exposure. Went through that summer, successful time, came on back home. The next year, I went south again. This time, to work with my cousin James Thomas in Portsmouth, Virginia. Got caught one day going too fast trying to get to the tent where I was working. And the way that white policeman talked to me again reminded me. But now I'm beginning to build a picture. Because when I went to Oakwood as a freshman, the Greyhound bus took us to Nashville. Greyhound would not go to Huntsville because Greyhound did not believe in making black people sit in the back. So we had to leave the Greyhound station and go to the Trailway station, where the driver informed us as we got on the bus where we should sit.
Have mercy.
Now I'm sitting there seeming as a young black boy from Ohio with the temperament that I have.
We know.
And I'm saying to myself, I'm not liking this. We get off the bus in Huntsville. I'm a freshman. I'm beginning to hear about people like Martin Luther King and things like this. The movement was just getting going. This is now the fall of 1960. King was beginning to become more of a notable person. So they wanted to have a race or rally or drive there at the State College, Alabama A&M. The governor wouldn't let it happen because it was state property. So the movement appealed to Oakwood College. We were a parochial school, separation of church and state. Would you host it? Paul Monk was the president of the student body, and by then I'd been elected president of the freshman class. And we went to our president, college president, asked him. He was hesitant because Oakwood was known to stay at its place in those years. And lo and behold, the president of the college said yes. I'll never forget that night.
Amen.
King, Y.T. Walker, Jesse Jackson, all those luminaries in the Oakwood College gym. And I sang with the Aeolians. We sang that night. And I heard for the first time the Dr. Martin Luther King. And a fire was set in my soul. After that event, there began to be some movement on our campus amongst faculty and students to be to make some changes, to do some things. Unfortunately, my first exposure to challenging racism in Huntsville, Alabama, was with the white Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Have mercy.
We went there because the Southern University was having a concert, the choir. So we went to hear our fellow young Adventists sing. And were met at the door by a deacon telling us we could not go in. And that if we did go in, they wouldn't start the concert until we left. I didn't say much. I was stunned.
So you're saying that you were experiencing racism within our own Seventh-day Adventist church.
And an issue, Donna, if I had not been a dyed-in-the-wool, Bible-taught Seventh-day Adventist, growing up around Seventh-day Adventists, grandparents and uncles and aunts and parents, it probably would have shaken me, but there's nothing that can shake me from this church because I understand the church to be what it is, a hospital. All of us in different degrees of wellness. And so though that night disturbed me, I said, my goodness, this is really something. Some of the faculty from Oakwood went down to the church, returned away the same way. So some of my early experiences in the South with the movement and racism were in the church. But I've heard King now that this fire has been set. And over the next 4 years, student body, I was freshman class president, then I was on the student council, then I was vice president for social activities. I was student body president my senior year. In the meantime, you've had the March on Washington, and then the assassination of JFK. This is in the fall of '63. I get picked up by South Central Conference. And all my buddies tell me, you're going to wind up in Mississippi. And I did. You stick a northern boy like me in a place like Mississippi, and there's only going to be sparks. The first mistake I made, I didn't consider it was a mistake. I refused to go in the back door of the hospital to visit my members.
You're quite bold, Pastor.
I went in the front door. And my first elder heard about it because he's a dyed-in-the-wool Mississippian. He panics, gets upset, it causes him trouble, so forth and so on. And I have no intention of backing down and backing away from the experience that I was having. So he, my first elder in Greenville, Mississippi, was a pretty important man in the church. He contacts the union president of Southern Union. I'm going to call the man's name, but he was of German descent. He comes all the way to the little church I'm pastoring in Greenville to put me in my place.
Dear God.
But my conference president was C.E. Dudley, a man of great courage, and he stood up for his young pastor. This resistance to the rules stayed with me. I wouldn't go to colored drinking fountains. I wouldn't do any of that. I wasn't going to do that. And when they later moved me to Jackson, Mississippi, I made sure that my now precious pregnant wife would be delivered in a hospital where they did not make the colored pregnant women be in a certain ward. And so I went to the Catholic hospital, St. Dominic. That's where Egg was born. But even in Jackson, when I would visit the Baptist hospital, colored pastors were in the back door. No, sir. I'm not doing that. So I developed a quiet resistance. In the meantime, going back now to when I was still starting my ministry, I had the chance to march with Martin Luther King, James Meredith, Jesse Jackson, Stokely Carmichael, in the Meredith March. I was
very interesting commentary, to have someone live through being turned away from the church because of the color of one's skin, to have to go to a hospital where it is not pronounced. It's very interesting. took the opportunity, Lady Elise, to listen to the presentation from Dr. Henry Wright, and you could see the pain that he still feels. He spoke about police coming to his home, threatening his family, including his son, and he actually broke down a bit in that interview. And one of the things that I think a lot of us do not understand is when we read the history, when we hear persons, it seems remote, and so maybe persons can't relate or connect to it.
Well, CoraleeKaren, it is a sad place to see that we still have such, the word it's right on the tip of my tongue, discrimination that still exists within the church. And being grounded in the church, as this gentleman stated, that he knew that the church is a hospital, and therefore it's not perfect. It's not as perfect as he had hoped it would be. Knowing with that reality, he stood firm, still believing in the Word of God. But we still have stuff like that happening in today's church.
We still have to work through it, and it's not easy, as I would have said before, because in the church we're talking about love, we're talking about being equal at the foot of the cross, irrespective
only at the foot of the cross, please remember, it's only at the foot of the cross.
But when at the foot of the cross, then that's where the prejudice become. At the
foot of the cross, the ground is level and we are one. But anywhere else, no, don't try that, please. Make sure you find Jesus cross foot.
And there were two things that he also mentioned. I don't think he got a chance to play, but the question was asked of him, what would you say to young people now? And his passion came out again when he said, vote. Vote. He says the one power that every individual in the United States has, and I would dare say in the world where democracy is practiced.
It's claimed to be practiced. Claimed to be practiced. Yes, use those words properly.
The truth of it is, if you do not present yourself in the system, then you would have sided with those who are making it a facade. So if you go every time there is an opportunity to vote and exercise that franchise, you are making your voice heard. And his encouragement is to understand that one vote makes a difference. I've had or seen recounts, and it is one vote or sometimes 3 votes that distinguishes the winner from that in that situation. So we ought to exercise our franchise irrespective of where you are. He spoke about the United States, but every single country that has an election, the people need to be present and be a part of the decision.
You know what I want to bring you?
Or that you have.
I don't know what Lady was going to say something a while ago. I'm not sure.
No, I'm listening to the conversation and recognizing that even though we're speaking from a historical perspective and recognizing what was happening then, it's so overwhelming to know that we still find other reasons to separate ourselves and class ourselves, who will sit here and being so cliquish. It's almost as if that even though the years we're on, we have the challenge of expanding our thought processes and recognizing that we are one. The speaker at last night's presentation, the topic was one love. One love, and love is such a word that's used so randomly, and we scarcely recognize what the true meaning of that word is. But I say, may God help us and may we learn, because I can have such dislike. It's like we go and we kneel down and we pray all these wonderful, nice sounding prayers, as we mentioned, and then we get up the same. But we pray that God will help us. Help us. Help us.
Here's the part that gets me, Lady CoraleeKaren. Here's the part that gets me really good too. And this is what he said. And it is very interesting that the church is not visible seen in most of these conflicts.
Yeah.
Not just social justice. We are talking about against government, but against situations or issues that are of matter to the community or to the society. Church is not visibly seen as an active participant in opposition to these things. We are simply trending along and just simply moving with the tide and going with the flow, right?
Well, Mikey G, and not that I want to interrupt you. You say this after we got some messages shared with us this morning, I believe, from Elder Bennett, and I must read before you go on to the next point. And I say a special good morning to Orly Scott, who has joined us on YouTube and says good morning, and he asks a question: what happens when your vote makes no difference, CoraleeKaren? What happens when your vote makes no difference?
And for my encouragement, Audley, is that you have one vote, only one vote, and it does make a difference. Because guess what? It is more than you just putting your finger or your X beside it. It's recognizing that 50 years ago, black people couldn't vote. And every time you go as an individual and participate, you're saying that the life of those persons who protested against not having the rights at that time, so much so that they now have it, we now have it, it is significant that their blood was not in vain. And so I will say to you, your one vote is carrying the weight of our ancestors, of those freedom fighters, because it is more than just that individual occasion. Every time you vote, you're marching with Martin Luther. You're at the front line, because it has to make a difference, the fact that they did it and paved the way for our being able to do it. So that's how I see it. It's not the individual, it's the whole throng of people who made sure that we had the opportunity to do it. And so when you go to your different networking in the church, in the community, when you communicate the passion and remind them why it is that we have this opportunity, that is how it makes a difference. It's you reminding people that it does make a difference.
Yes, absolutely.
I will apply the statement that the journey of 1,000 begins with one
single step.
And so every single person, if there is 10,000 people in the community, you have to step out. And that, I think, Audley, is where we have to claim our power and our voice, because it does matter.
It's disappointing, and I want to say good morning to you also, sir, Orly Scott. But yeah, and we're addressing it, and maybe because he asked the question, and we possibly probably should just say that it's very disappointing when we make our best effort and it seems of no avail. it's a very troubling thing, right? But here, I want to just shift a little bit from the question or the conversation in that direction and ask a question. This question is, should all Christians, whether be it of any denomination differences, we are having a situation such as a civil rights movement, should we all join and be a part of it, or should we find reasons of separating factors that we should not be a part of? I mean, this is a question I want to ask. Are there things that we should all bond together on?
You know,
That's a question.
I believe the presentation by Pastor Wright, his position is that we ought to be there. He spoke about not a picture of him and other pastors who were at the front line marching with Martin Luther, marching with the freedom fighters, that they took a stance too as to where the church. And he went on to say that as an institution, and he made that we ought, as a religious institution, we need to have a voice. We need to be using our platform to denounce things of injustice, to let people know that the Bible does not purport, and what he, I think yourself and Lady Elise were very joint in that position, that we are moving along as if nothing is happening. We're allowing ourselves to be carried without taking a stance for letting us, the people, know that as a community, this is where we stand on an issue. It's almost as if we want to be neutral because we
want to be silent and actually following the crowd.
Okay, and listen, let's not go too far back in history. And are you hearing me loud and clear?
Very good.
No?
And we are hearing. Listen, what I'm going to do right now is this. We're going to take a small, this conversation from here. When we come back, we do a little special celebration for one of our special persons right here at Flashpoint.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are celebrating this morning. Lady Elise, you're gonna be earning the charge on that one.
Oh, it gives me a great pleasure. It's an honor this morning. It is a great honor for me to wish VIP Marie a happy birthday. I know there's a time difference. If we recall on Friday, I think she said she was 2 hours ahead or before us. So behind us, yes. So she would be just 6:10 and probably still in bed. But we want to wish her a very happy birthday, and we pray that the Lord will bless you abundantly, more than you can ever ask, think, or imagine. Have yourself a blessed and a beautiful and a happy day.
Happy birthday!
And Mikey G, remember, we're going to have a virtual celebration. We need to put the time out there where we can actually come online and celebrate with Lady Marie.
All right, so let's do that today and see where we go later on. Of course, news is next, and those who are joining us, wherever you are joining us from, please remember, like, share, and subscribe. First, like, then subscribe. Please share the link with everyone that you meet. Hit the notification button that it will tell somebody or tell you when our next post, our next video is out. And that's like every day, right? So you will get this information immediately. You will be the first to know what's happening at Flashpoint.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4, Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Good morning. It is Monday, February 17th, and these are the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. I'm CoraleeKaren. Police investigating series of robberies, machete attacks. Police are investigating a series of robberies and machete attacks that occurred Friday night, which sent at least one man to the hospital. The first incident took place about 7:25 p.m. on Friday evening when officers responded to a report of an attempted robbery and wounding at an address on Holmes Turn, Georgetown, the RCIPS said in a news release. The group of masked men with machete attacked a man and ransacked the yard before leaving the scene. The man received injuries to his hand and arm and attended the Cayman Islands Hospital for treatment. He has since been discharged. Less than an hour later, shortly before 8:20 p.m., the police said they responded to a report of robbery at a barber shop on Eastern Avenue in Georgetown near the intersection with School Road. Masked men entered the location, brandishing machetes, and demanded cash from the occupants, police said. The men fled the location with cash and personal items, traveling in a small vehicle. One man received a minor injury during the incident, which did not require medical attention. In a third incident the same evening, police officers were called to a convenience store on Prospect Drive at 8:40 p.m. following reports of a robbery on the premises. 3 masked men with machetes entered the location and stole a quantity of cash from the register before fleeing the location. One man was struck by the machete and received minor injuries. He was treated on the scene by EMS personnel. These incidents are currently under investigation by Georgetown CID. Anyone with information is asked to contact 949-4222. Anonymous tips can be provided directly to the RCIPS via its confidential tip line at 949-7777 or via its websites. Lower average electricity bill in January, says CUC. Electricity producer Caribbean Utilities Company says that average household bills for January should be less than at the start of 2024 as lower rates kick in. In a press release issued on Friday, the company said that residential customers with an average household consumption of 1,162 kilowatt hours per month will see a reduction of 16%, equivalent to $63.57 in their bills this January compared to January last year, and a fall of $1.51 when compared to December 2024. The company said that the decrease was due to a combination of reduced fuel prices and upgrades to generating units, which have improved fuel efficiency. CUC also said in the release it was continuing to move to a more renewable, resilient, and affordable energy system, and was boosting network resilience through installing underground transmission and distribution lines in the Linford-Pearson Highway, which will maintain electricity supply to local hospitals and police stations during extreme weather. It has also taken delivery of two 10-megawatt battery energy storage systems, which will reduce the company's reliance on diesel. As a capital-intensive industry, the utility sector requires continuous investment in innovative projects, CUC President and CEO Richard Hugh said in the press release. CUC remains committed to delivering the least cost, highly reliable, and cleaner energy service to the people of Grand Cayman. Last October, Hugh said that homes and businesses could expect up to $40 million in cost savings annually as the Cayman Islands moves over to renewable energy over the next few years. Cayman students win robotics prizes in Florida competition. Cayman's youth continues to shine in the field of robotics in overseas competitions after picking up several awards in Florida last week. On Saturday, 8th February, 4 3-4-5 robotics teams participated in a VX IQ Rapid Relay tournament in Kissimmee, Florida. Two of the teams won judges' awards, with a third squad won third place in the Teamwork Challenge. The 3 and 4-member teams, made up of students aged 7 to 12, have been working since August to design, build, code, and drive robots for this year's competition under the mentoring of coaches Kendra Okosiki and Brandon Ebanks, according to a press release from 345 Robotics. Over the course of the day, the 4 teams excelled in their participation in a fast-paced series of 1-minute matches covering robot skills, driving and autonomous coding, and the Teamwork Challenge of collaborative driving with 2 teams working together. The squad participated alongside at least 40 other teams from Central Florida, including both primary and middle school teams. During the award ceremony in the finale of the event, 2 of the teams won judges' awards and another team finished in 3rd place during the overall event finals. An all-girls team of Anya Aurora, 10, Brianna Atkinson, 12, and Daniel Webster, 10, received one of 2 coveted judges' awards. After interviewing all the teams, the judges observed that they exhibited perseverance and resilience in spite of many constraints throughout the season, according to the release. A team comprising Neera Muthakura Kumar, 10, Ava Tyrone, 8, and Ethan Solomon, 7, received the VX IQ Sportsmanship Award, which recognizes a high degree of good sportsmanship, helpfulness, respect, and a positive attitude both on and off the competition field, 345 Robotics said in the release. The team of Nathan Abbott, 8, Coin Jukadar, 12, and Antonia Sanchez Matos, 10, qualified for the event finals and ultimately finished in 3rd place overall. After taking part were Kai Latif, 9, Aaron Sanchez Matos, 8, and Ava Stefano, 9, who, like many others, were competing as a full team for the first time. 345 Robotics is a Cayman Islands non-profit organization dedicated to improving robotics learning for young people. The group works in partnership with the US-based Robotics and Education Competition Foundation to enable Cayman Islands teams to participate in the Global VX IQ Robotics Competition, which attracts 1.1 million participants in 70 countries. This was the second overseas event in which 345 Robotics has competed so far this year, with 4 members traveling to Florida for Revolution 2025 last month. Since the summer, we have been mentoring many young people and to cultivate these 4VX IQ teams, Coach Okosinki said in the release. This partnership has enabled us to build fun and inclusive community for young people, and we actively seek to add more competition teams to our roster during the coming year. Senior linesmen of Little Cayman hang up their hard hats. For more than a quarter century, Island Energy linesmen Wade Moore Bush and Philburn Ayton have worked tirelessly together through sunshine and storms to keep the lights on in Little Cayman. Now, both men, together with power generation operator Robert Chukan, will be calling it a day this month after a combined total of 68 years of service to the island. Quote, I think we've got the most important job on the island because without electricity, everything else grinds to a halt, Chukan said as he reflected on his 15-year career on Little Cayman. Moore Bush, 69 and 1871, shared the sentiment as they too recounted the significance of their roles as linesmen and the community's reliance on them to keep the electricity flowing. Aiken said the employees pride themselves on their speed in restoring power when there is an interruption. Given the size of the island, he said the team responds to calls within half an hour to restore power to residents. In regional news, I'm the bigger informer, says Chuck, urging all to join crime fight. Justice Minister Delaware Chuck is leading by example in the fight against crime, declaring himself the biggest informer in his northeastern St. Andrew constituency. Chuck encouraged other Jamaicans to follow suit on Wednesday's Justice of the Peace sensitization session at Royalton Negril Hotel in Westmoreland. The minister's bold stance came as he emphasized the need for collective action in combating crime, noting that the police are making strides in neutralizing gangs. The police have identified, some years ago, over 300 gangs. Many of them have been neutralized and many more are being neutralized, Chuck stated. It is being said that you have over 150 gangs now which are still active, and the police want to neutralize them, and sadly, far too many of them, the gangs, are in the western part of the country, he said. Bahamas' second shark attack in less than a week leaves one man injured. Police are investigating another reported shark attack which has left one man injured. The attack occurred days after two American female tourists were injured in the waters of Bimini Bay. Initial reports suggest that the victim, a Caucasian man, was riding an E4 water toy at Highborns Cay when he was bitten by the shark. He was airlifted to New Providence for medical treatment. Jet ski accident claims life of 46-year-old in the Bahamas. A tragic jet ski accident in Bimini over the weekend has resulted in the death of a 46-year-old man in the Bahamas. The incident occurred around 1 p.m. on Saturday when the victim, whose identity has not yet been released, encountered difficulties while riding the jet ski. Reports indicate that the jet ski overturned and the rider was unable to stay afloat after the mishap. Despite efforts to assist him to shore, the man remained unresponsive even after CPR was administered. While it remains unclear whether the victim was wearing safety gear at the time of the incident, police are actively investigating the circumstances surrounding the accident. A major security operation recently at the Port Blanchard prison in St. Martin resulted in the confiscation of 73 weapons, including stabbing, piercing, and striking tools, as well as 20 mobile phones, the police have reported. Authorities also seized quantities of marijuana and ecstasy, highlighting the ongoing efforts to curb illicit activities within the facility. The operation, conducted by the St. Martin Police Force with support from the Marine Detachment of the Dutch forces in the Caribbean, was aimed at maintaining order and ensuring the safety of both staff and inmates, authorities said. The successful removal of these prohibited items is part of a broader initiative to enhance security and prevent criminal activity within the prison. The collaborative effort between the St. Martin Police Force and the Dutch forces demonstrates the Kingdom of the Netherlands' commitment to assisting local authorities in maintaining public safety and order. In international news, flooding in U.S. Southeast leaves 2 dead with winter misery elsewhere. Much of the U.S. faced another round of biting winter weather on Sunday, with torrential rains causing intense flooding in Kentucky and resulting in at least 2 deaths. The northern plains faced life-threatening cold, and tornado watches were issued for parts of Georgia and Florida. A 73-year-old man was found dead in floodwaters in Clay County. WKYT-TV reported. Clay County Emergency Management Deputy Director Ravel Berry confirmed the fatality but did not provide additional details. Severe storms also swept through parts of Florida and Georgia, where tornado watches were in effect early Sunday, the National Weather Service said. Elsewhere, bone-chilling cold is expected for the northern plains, with low temperatures into the -30s degree Fahrenheit near the Canadian border. Dangerously cold wind chill temperatures in the Dakotas and Minnesota of -40 degrees Fahrenheit to -50 degrees are expected. Dry weather returned to Southern California after the strongest storm of the year, but the risk of rock and mudslides on wildfire-scarred hillsides continued because dangerous slides can strike even after the rain stops, particularly in areas where vegetation that helps keep soil anchored has burned away. Water, debris, and boulders rushed down the mountain in the city of Sierra Madre on Thursday night, trapping at least 1 car in the mud and damaging several home garages with mud and debris. Bulldozers cleaned up mud-covered streets in the city of 10,000 people. A storm in the Sierra Nevada dumped 6 feet of snow over 36 hours. 2 Mammoth Mountain Ski Patrol workers were caught in the avalanche during avalanche mitigation work Friday morning, the resort said in a Facebook post. One was extracted and was responsive, while the other was taken to a hospital with serious injuries. Those were the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Continue to stay tuned throughout the day for more information and updates.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 2454 or 345-938-3426.
Of course, welcome back, guys. I mean, we don't need any more news for the rest of the week.
It shows that things are happening. Lots are happening around the world.
I want to thank CoraleeKaren for just putting all this news together.
You're most welcome, Mikey G. I thought though that it was unfortunate the robberies that have occurred, and just to again, I believe we also reported on delivery personnel being attacked. Numerous robberies are happening where masked men are entering different establishments and attacking persons and robbing them.
And this is happening, Lady CoraleeKaren, when Batman and Robin is not a big cartoon anymore. Robin. Masked men, Batman and Robin.
But okay, from what perspective are you saying because they're masked?
No, I'm saying at the time when we were not watching Batman and Robin cartoons, like it was a big thing back in the day. But these masked men are robbing. So we want the masked men are Batman there and Robin.
But yeah,
I'm just messing with that.
They are using masks of different persons. And you know, people are just being very creative about their miscreants. And it says to me, I wonder if they used their brain power to do positive, how much better it would be, you know? But just to remind persons to be vigilant, to ensure that you are aware of your surroundings. Please make sure that you take precaution to protect yourselves, you know. And the police has been vigilant as well, has been very responsive, and so we need to
the police force.
get appreciation and to encourage them. Oftentimes, we don't celebrate our law enforcement officers because they have to be out 24/7, making sure that they are being they're being our Batman and or Robins.
Well, there. I think Robins are Robins are already out there robbing.
Oh, Mikey G. I'm not.
You're just getting it. All right, no worries. Well, moving on to Jamaica, I listened to the conversation about, and I think we're wrapping up now. The conversation about the politician on the platform. I am the biggest informer.
The minister.
Can I tell you that you have heard me on this program over and over for many years now, saying when we had the informer fidel culture was the downfall of the Jamaican population or the country by and large, where people were singing songs that told people that if you are informer, talk about the criminal activities that are going on in your community, somebody must kill you. And this is what was being said and being sung in songs. And people probably didn't pay much attention to these questions and these things. People say, I just art form of people making music. If you say that you have crime and violence going on in your country, and the art form of your music is doing crime and violence, don't you think the music is associated with something about crime and violence, and probably should pay some attention to it then? Since now we know that informer for dead culture came out, and now the country has suffered so badly and crime has gone so much, and people refuse to talk because the culture has been ingrained so much in our society. And now we are going back with songs with murder and all sorts of erroneous activities. And then we are saying the music is art and it's not doing anything. Check yourself. That's what I would say. I don't know what you think, Lady CoraleeKaren.
It's very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate, because how can you then stem crime if the people who witness it are not coming forward, are not feeling comfortable coming forward? Because the people who are perpetrating the activity continues to do so in the mental faculties of those who witness it. So if they commit a crime, they're also projecting that on the person who would have assisted the authorities in bringing them to justice. So it's a bigger conversation around, is justice really executed? Because if it's not,
but here's the thing that is,
we'll continue.
Here's the thing that is correct. What I would say to you is this, that the culturing of the mind of the people is what is at play. And so the people have been cultured to think that if you tell about somebody's doing evil or wrong, you're an informer and you must dead, or you are doing a bad thing. You're committing the worst sin that you could possibly have.
Worse than the acts that the person.
Worse than the acts that the person is doing. You, by telling the story or telling that that person did that wicked thing, would have been a sinful person, a wicked person, to talk about it and tell that this person is robbing and killing and doing all sorts of atrocities to person. You still.
But here's the interesting thing. This individual just committed an act against somebody else, and you are now saying that they should be protected. What was the protection for the person who you just robbed or killed or committed mayhem on? Who protected that person? And what it seemed to say is that the victim will continue to be victimized by virtue of the fact that the villain is not protected by the people who could put him to justice.
Well, I guess there's one person who will say that this crime is more than the other. But then here's where we want to say. We're saying that where justice is denied.
Yeah, that is it.
But then, we have people who have gone out and beyond, to ensure that they find ways and means to at least tell about the stories that is happening around. And here's a country that is weaning away. Haiti would have benefited from this action of the level of crime that continues to happen within the society, and nobody talks about it. Now Haiti is at a place where criminals actually have taken charge of the country itself. I'm happy to hear that the police is actually making waves.
Pastor Wright, sorry. Well, Michael, goes back to what Pastor Wright was saying earlier in the clip in terms of speaking out against injustice. There has to be a voice. If there was no Martin Luther, if there was no Malcolm X, if there were no Paul Vogels, if there were no many of the Maroons, if there were no persons who saw it for what it was and stood up at the risk of death,
their own parents,
for the persons who, for one reason or another, are not able to, then we wouldn't be where we are. And so we need to be beneficiaries of the legacy of those who went before us, and as a result be empowered to do something to make a difference in our communities, because there are persons who cannot. Again, going back to the informal fidel culture, it's a bigger conversation, because persons will say, well, when they do inform, who are the ones taking the information back?
Oh my word.
There's a bigger conversation.
You have just hit the nail on the head then. You have hit the nail on the head. You have troubled the status quo now.
Time will not allow us, Mikey G, to go beyond. It's just the tip
of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg, yes.
Maybe we can exhaust the conversation at another time. It has been my esteemed pleasure sharing the moment with you, Mikey G. I know Lady Elise had to drop off and would want to, on her behalf, thank our viewers, thank our listeners for spending time with us. The breakfast hour is for you. And so we also appreciate your comments. We also appreciate the fact that you are allowing us into your space, and hope that we would have satisfied you, that you would have gotten your fill from our being with you this morning. Mikey G.
Well, I want to thank all our listeners, our viewers, and of course those who have joined us on www.flashpointmedia.ky. Our radio plays all day, 24 hours, of course. Stay tuned to Flashpoint, guys. We have great stuff coming up. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can get these programs or any other program that we have to come. Help us to reach 10 million people in 2025. Of course, thank you for joining. Have yourself a great one. And of course, today is going to be the best day of your life. Go out and claim it. Thank you, Lady CoraleeKaren. And have yourself a beautiful one also.
Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun, with Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all sing there outside. Just us in the sky. Are we part of this circus? Is it innate? Feels like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter? Or is this a fate? At least now I'm feeling better, I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all sing there outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours forever.